Now again, this has nothing to do at all with.
No.
I might take all of this.
If you are watching this show, you know how we start off everything that we start.
Tangents within tangents.
All right. Okay. It's a step forward.
Welcome to the Then and Now podcast. I'm your host, C Diesel, aka Mr. Yellow Belly, aka your auntie's favorite midnight snack. I have my co-host with me. How y'all doing, brother Lelouch, brother E?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm a little pissed off that Otis has that badass background, and I have.
I forgot I had him make that a long ass time ago. I've yet to put that up anywhere yet. I gotta send that to me again so I can use that. I forgot all about that.
I about that too. But anyways, we're doing
right. Demon Slayer.
I
don't think we've done like maybe like 3 animes on here. Some of them are kind of hybrids if you want to count them, but I think it's the first like actual anime that we've covered on Then and Now. We are all 3 extreme big fans of anime. Probably Otis the biggest out of us 3. Yeah. And Demon Slayer is a big mainstream one that's coming up. Apparently, it's one of the big 3, the new big 3, according to a lot of people.
Otis hates that expression. Otis will punch. But I agree. They've already established it themselves. My Hero, Demon Slayer, and Jujutsu Kaisen have like outsold and made more money collectively with their movies and with their shows than some of the other big 3 did in their time.
Didn't Demon Slayer just outdo Titanic not too long ago in Japan?
It took me a little bit to get into it. A lot of the modern anime it takes me a little bit to get into them for whatever reason. I don't know why. But once I get into it, I was hooked.
What was it you didn't like? Was it because they do have the dub on Netflix? Was it just the art?
It's not even. I don't like. It's not that I didn't like it. Like I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked it. It was just like I just wasn't captured by it. You know what I mean?
What's interesting about that, for those who don't know, Dev's one of his favorite periods to watch is the feudal Japan era. I know this is probably late 19th century. No, it's the 19th century. This is still 17th century, I think. But so this is right in the.
It's got to be late because they got steam trains now.
Because they have steam trains, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So, but this is still around the area that you like a lot. So I figured you would have been drawn to.
Yeah, and it was cool. I love it now. But initially, I don't know if it was the. I don't know. I don't know what it was about. But this show is good. It took me a minute to get hooked into it to where I just had to watch it. And then what really killed me with the movie is that break happened in between the movie and the ending of the season. So with certain anime, the break is so long, I'll forget what the anime was even about. Yeah, like Attack on Titan, I damn near need to go back and rewatch the entire first 3 seasons to remember all the characters.
You really do need to to understand anything that's happening this fourth season. You have to refresh those things in your mind, because I had to go back and do the same thing. Because I watched the first episode, what?
Who was this?
What? Like, I can actually relate to you a little bit, because it wasn't actually the anime that hooked me on the anime. It was the manga. I'm usually the type of person that when I'm looking for things to read, I look for things that are finished. I saw Demon Slayer was done. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick this up. And it was fantastic. It was one of the best reads I've had in manga in my entire life of reading manga. And I started reading manga since, oh my God, before Charlie was born. I think it was before. Probably, maybe. Yeah. I have to clock that.
Back during Jim Crow, right?
Right.
Oh, you had to bring that already. 5 minutes in. I know. I mean, spoiler alert. Otis's family literally had him reading. He had to read all the time as a kid, so it makes sense that you would start reading as if you were 10 years old and you started reading manga, you'd have been reading it longer than Charlie was born. So, yeah.
The borders closed before. Yes, it is the measuring stick for sure. Like that, the then and now measuring stick is older than Charlie. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
That's we always use it by Charlie's age. That's literally it's in the font that we have. It's in our letterhead.
And reading through this, it's a very, very concise, detailed, and well done story. It's not like Naruto that has 400 something issues, or One Piece that has 1,000 issues. He only has 152, and it's done. It's done.
It's my woman, and didn't
Yes,
she's like, I'm this is it. This is the story I wanted to tell. I don't care about your Jump politics, Shonen Jump politics. This is the story I want to tell, and I'm done. And they're like, no, please, this is so popular.
Milk this, please. We need money.
Like, I'm out.
No, but now I'm excited to watch the anime because like going back and watching the anime after reading it, like I see what they did to certain scenes, how they enhance certain things, how they pull things back, and I get so excited for the animation going forward that it's just a great experience watching it after reading it.
So that's one thing. I actually picked up the manga, and I'm reading back the parts that have already been shown in the anime because I don't want to be spoiled. But what's funny about it is like it doesn't. To me, animation is my single favorite medium because the anime brought so many elements that the manga simply can't have. The vibrant colors, the way that when he's doing the different breathing techniques, how amazing it looks, the kind of okami like type of art style. Those things can't exist, at least not to that extent, in the manga.
Let's get into the story aspect. Let's get it broken down into parts before we get into the animation. This season, the arc of this season, did you guys enjoy the story that was told in the demon entertainment, not the demon, the entertainment district?
I really, honestly, I don't really feel like this season was about the story. It was set up for fights. Like this was a fight season. Half a season, I think like 7 of the 12 episodes were a fight. This is a battle anime episode. Yeah,
it's one fight. Yeah.
This happened really fast. I mean, I feel like as soon as they got recovered from the Mugen train stuff, it was like right into another thing, which I actually enjoyed about this. With most shonen, you have that like period in between events where it's just like, all right, slice of lives here, recuperations here, maybe they'll learn a new technique every now and then. This is like, nah, we rested, we recovered, new mission, we're gone. And I think that's part of what makes Demon Slayer good is that there's not a lot of filler at all.
There is none.
Yeah,
that's the new age of anime. They don't do, because they're not constantly having to churn out material all the time. Naruto is 700 some episodes and half of it's literally filler. This is just we streamlined it to just the parts that actually have been adapted from a finished product.
All right. Anything you need to know about these characters, they fill in with like flashbacks during the fight. That's one thing. It's slightly annoying, but it works. You get it in, you learn more about like in particular with Tanjiro, he'll be in the middle of a fight and they'll flashback to like his family or whatever, to that moment in which his family was killed, and they'll kind of give you more details in each little flashback. They kind of tell you more about him and how his family dynamic as they go on. And I do it in the middle of a fight, to where it's like, all right, it's over with, fight continued. Like here's some backstory on him, development on him, and then now we're into the fight. This is how it's relevant.
During the Mugen Train film, there's a part where you see his family again. Pretty much, you deal with the guilt that Tanjiro has for what happened to his family, as far as he feels guilty that he wasn't there to protect them, and that guilt is in a way almost he kills himself over and over again, strategically during that. So as Charlie was just saying, the idea that that seeing backstory during fights to help develop characters is a really good tool they use. Do they use it a bit much? Possibly, but I think they use it so well that you don't mind. The way Tengen, you see his relationship he had with his wives, his 3 wives, his harem of wives.
Oh my God,
that boy. But they use it well. They use it so you understand how the 4 of them are in love with each other and that kind of stuff. They're, I guess, Mormons in Japan, but so it works.
I'm enjoying the way they're using the family flashback thing. I'm just kind of scared that it's going to get towards the Naruto swing area if you keep using it over and over again. Like there's only so much you can show us that like in that whole flashback, because we've seen it already through the seasons prior, in the movie, now again in this season. I'm like, okay, are we about to have to go? It's like the Naruto swing where he's back there, he's depressed again, or
it's not necessarily the Naruto swing. It's just that so much happened in that particular time period for Tanjiro that it's going to be constantly referenced. And the more you go through the story, you realize how important Tanjiro's family line is to the story. So, like, I mean, it is a recurring thing, like, with the swing. But it's not like, you're seeing the same part of it every time. You get this piece. You get this piece.
Different.
You know what I'm saying? But it is going back to the same spot. Like, I can't deny that. Yeah.
It's the same, roughly the same era, but essentially, even in the movie, the Mugen Train, you see his time that it didn't actually exist, where he's with his family, like a little further on, as far as like if he was still around, if they hadn't died.
Right.
And there's other flashbacks in the first season where you see him his time with his dad. His dad was doing the fire dance and that kind of stuff. So even though he's having flashbacks with his family, it's kind of different times with them, or visions he has of what could have been. So it's not the exact same moment replayed over and over again, like copy and paste it. Right?
Flashbacks. I personally, when it comes to anime, I enjoy them to a certain extent. But part of me, when it comes to storytelling, I feel as though that while the backstory on the character is great, I feel like a more focus on the way that this character is going to develop going forward should be the focus in a story. Like, especially when first season, I get it because you're telling the backstory of a character, you're getting who they are as a person. But once you're getting to a second season and on, at that point, I want to see how this character is developing, not the past trauma that's holding this character down. At least to an extent. Keep it around. It's going to be a part of who they are as a person, but I want more of a focus on who they're going to become, not who they were.
Right.
Because who they were isn't necessarily always relevant to the current person they are at that moment in time.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I see what you mean, but I gotta disagree just because, like, when it comes to Tanjiro specifically, like overcoming those things in his past is where he's going. Like that's his projection. They show difficulty. They show a demon that helps him realize that difficulty, and then he beats that demon, and then he overcomes that difficulty. Like that's how they pretty much format their arcs.
Right. It's exactly. It's his own personal internal struggle that he's overcoming in a way. Another pitfall that can arise from this is something that happens in Dragon Ball Z to some extent, where they would use retcon. Essentially, so let's say, well, let's kind of retcon this idea that we didn't have before. The original idea they didn't have it in Dragon Ball. There were no Saiyans. It was Goku kind of was meant to be a journey to the west, so he's meant to be kind of the Monkey King, and then they kind of changed it in Dragon Ball Z, starting that he's from another planet, and there's other people like him too with the tail and everything. So you can fall into that problem, but I agree with Otis in that it because of these flashbacks or because these backstories are directly tying into him going forward. I think both you and Dev and Otis can be satisfied with the idea of him growing forward because of his past.
Right. In this story in particular, be more specific when it comes to his backstory being part of his future, they've showed a lot of emphasis on his father and
his daddy.
What his father was, what his father did, all that stuff. That's the big mystery up in the air to this point.
And the birthmark, where it was accident, but actually part of it. Ironically enough, it's both. It is a birthmark, but also it is a sign that he is a chosen one.
Right. So they're doing the whole shonen thing where he's destined to some kind of destiny,
basically,
which is great. It's cool. So I'm ready to see where that's going to go, but. That's why I'm not super mad at all the flashbacks, because obviously they're a significant part of who he is going forward. I'm just scared they're going to overdo it to some extent. In regards to other characters that were brought into the season, obviously we talked about Tengen a while ago and his 3 wives. Did you guys enjoy Tengen as a character?
Tengen is dope. Tengen is my 4th favorite Hashira. He's my
Jesus.
4th. He's my 4th.
I missed it before. I was about to say like
third. They're honestly dope though. Because like number 1, I'm not gonna talk about him yet because they haven't really shown him. Wait, no, they showed all the Hashira.
So you're going, but you're going mainly off of manga lore then, as opposed.
Yeah, like overall, like not to the point in the anime, but overall, like out of all of them, yeah, he's. Because number 1 is the wind guy, number 2 is the blind one, number 3 is Rengoku, and 4 is Tengen. So the wind guy, he's got white hair. He looks like Bakugo, but in Demon Slayer version.
Oh, the one that was an ass?
Mm-hmm.
That was stabbing the he was basically trying. Jesus. He's like Bakugo but angrier. Right.
It's interesting. Us as human beings, we're so fascinated and have to have some form of a group or elite group in which they're just better than other people, especially in our media. Like when you look at something, whether it's like The Last Airbender with the White Lotus, or if you look at Naruto with like the 12 Guardians or the Sannin or We love Akatsuki. We love putting people in groups and having those groups be more special than other people. and we find it interesting. I'd never get tired of that. Like
No,
some kind of formed group. I don't know why.
Basketball is teams. You know what I'm saying? It's the squad.
Right.
Yeah, it's the team. Well, even within basketball, you have the All Stars, then you have the Olympics, which is called the Dream Team back in the day, and everything. So, but part of it is a psychological thing. It's that the idea of us feeling that much more safe. If you feel if there's a super duper elite squad like angels out there protecting us from everything else, we're that much safer. Yeah.
Tengen for me, yeah, I enjoyed Tengen. I enjoyed the aspect of him being a ninja and not being a typical samurai. I thought that was really interesting. Having his,
even though he's like the buffest, biggest ninja, like where can you be clandestine? Where don't you stand out? Where don't you stand out?
I thought, especially with his one thing I do love when it comes to Demon Slayer is the skill set that these characters have and how the skill sets reflect their personalities. Him being a ninja, having sound abilities was really interesting to me. So like now it's not like, because like Naruto really rubbed me the wrong way. We won't stay on Naruto for too long, but with
Naruto
ninjas,
was a ninja show.
with ninjas being loud, like it started like that, but
they had kaiju battles. What's ninja about that?
It was never. I don't think it was ever. It was as a ninja aesthetic, but it
the
really
main character wears orange. It's supposed to be a ninja. Come on now.
This show in particular, him being a ninja, him having abilities of sound being a large part of who he is, and then even his weapons being like, I'd say like it's not, they're like nunchaku, but like they're chain blades. Yeah, he kind of uses them like nunchucks in a way, but they're swords. Yeah, it's interesting.
But against we're getting to spoilers. When he loses his hand during the fight, he's able to still wield them because they're connected. I mean, it pays off. It's kind of a plan and payoff that came up that way.
Right.
The fun parallel with that was, I'm sure you guys caught it too, was how it's meant to be. It's Rengoku and his three, and then also Rengoku and Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and I would say the three different sets of three. Essentially, sorry, the two different sets of three with Tengen in the middle. Essentially, Tengen, not Rengoku, Tengen. So it's just to show the different types of relationships they have and how they work as teams and different types of that. So I really appreciate that storytelling behind that angle of things.
You're missing one pretty bad chick this season, and that's Nezuko.
Nezuko was great. She went ultra mega She-Hulk Super Saiyan duper. I was like, wow.
I'm really think she's one aspect of the show I can't wait to get development on and info on why she's different than because we've seen in every fight she's been a part of with other demons, especially the upper level demons. Their surprise to her is like why she's like this. Like they'll fuck her up and she'll come back stronger. Oh, they'll see her and she's moving fast. They're like, bro, you're not like the rest of us.
What I love about Nezuko is why it is that she is willing to not kill. I know the whole idea she was when she was asleep and she was being hypnotized over and over again to pretty much not kill people. She sees her family as every human essentially, but still the idea that even before that she was willing to defend Tanjiro when he was knocked out in front of the Ashura. Why it is that she's hasn't given in to her the urges to eat blood, to drink blood, and why it is that she's able to heal so much faster. I know she had the blood from the apex demon, essentially kind of gave her his blood directly, so that definitely helps. But then see how she is going more and more Super Saiyan, Super Duper Saiyan too. So I'm curious to see how
you guys have a theory of what it could be. Just curious. Like I won't answer if you're right or wrong. But I'm curious if you have a theory.
My theory is that family bloodline has something in particular that makes them almost like some Senju. Again, we went back to Naruto again. Some Senju Uchiha type tip where that bloodline makes them just innately good at whether it's swordsman techniques or in general they have something special about them. And the demon, I can't remember the main demon's name in that show. Muzan, yeah. Muzan.
Mike Jack.
Yeah, bro, they got him looking like straight up Mike Jack. It's crazy.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Muzan. Criminal right there, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In his earlier form.
Them getting changed into demons makes them especially strong. Almost in a similar vein of how like when an Uchiha or Senju get the opposite's blood, then it like unlocks the shit because they have both halves of the Sage 6 path, the Yin Yang, and Sage 6 path DNA. I'm thinking something similar to that. The word something special about that, and then the demon.
That makes the most sense that their bloodline, because they have teased the idea that they're because the Tanjiro and his sister obviously have the same dad, and their dad is very special. They made that clear. There could be another thing too, something more devious, more nefarious, if the actual demon who made her kind of deliberately set her there as like a Manchurian candidate plant, like in a way to kind of like nest amongst the people for a longer time to do something later on. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It'd be dope. It's dope.
All good theories. I mean, like, those are, yeah, you're.
She's a character that I enjoy characters like her because they show so much without saying a lot. Like the fact she doesn't speak, it is able to exude emotion, which in itself to me is amazing that they can exude that much emotion through animation. Yeah, because facial expressions are a real big thing when it comes to reading somebody's emotion. So the fact you can draw that to that extent to where we can like see how they feel, even without the voice.
That's the cool thing with animation. Like they can literally emit it. Like, you know, you can see a burst of red energy off of somebody if they're mad and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways to do it.
My favorite scene from this season probably wasn't even a big battle scene. It was just when Tanjiro was trying to hold back, like his worst fear come to pass when she's super duper charged. She's huge. She's like twice his size, trying to attack people, trying to eat them. And Tanjiro's doing everything he can. And he's already super duper weak. And his mom comes back from the dead to like in his dream to say, "Hey, get the fuck up and stop her from killing people." And he has to like hold her back while she's beating him with her elbows and everything. And then of course Tengen comes in pretty much like, I'm gonna kill her if she doesn't stop. It's like everything's going just to shit for him. I love that scene. So
Tanjiro had for sure shown the main character resilience in this season, because he was getting fucked up and was like, I still get up and do more. I can't breathe, but I still move.
I don't have any ribs left.
That man was goated in this season to me, because he had every bodily ailment physically possible that you could imagine happened to him, and still found a way. And you saw it, you heard it, or didn't hear it, depending on what was happening to Tanjiro at the time. It's like, yeah, we still gonna take down this 6th moon. What do you mean? Like,
if we can get this later on if we want to, but there's a part where he has his hands, like with one of his hands, his main hand, like 4 out of 5 fingers are broken. He has it's like 3 or 4 ribs just shattered. He has blood in his eye. He has a spike, like the actual spike, like the tip of one of those blades it's going through his chin. He was knocked out unconscious. He can't even breathe his right way anymore.
He was poisoned at that time.
Severely poisoned. And scarlet rot. If you play Elden Ring, he has scarlet rot, the worst kind of poison going through his body. He is on the worst kind of binge imaginable.
Bro, he's almost not to the same extent, but he's getting the Mark treatment from Invincible, where it's like every fight he's in, he's getting fucked up.
Much.
I don't know if y'all enjoy this, but in an anime, especially in Shonen, where a character gets a power up or whatever, and they come to unveil that power up and they just dominate whoever they fight. I love that, like Vegeta 19 type tip where he's a Chief Super Saiyan. Now you get to just see him assert his dominance. Granted, he'll struggle later on,
just like you saw what happened later with 18.
Yeah, but I want those moments of like,
gone. The whimpers, like.
Better example.
You can't not see it.
Once a character gets a power up, I want to see to what extent this power up is strong.
Sure.
That's just me. I love an anime when they do that, when they get that moment of dominance before they get into a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that when it's earned though, because like
that's
a lot
the biggest
of times,
thing.
He's earned. If anybody's earned it, it's Tanjiro.
No, it's earned. I'm not saying
exactly. He does earn it, but the thing is, like, I understand why he got so messed up in that situation. You got to remember, like, these are demons that have been hunting demon slayers for hundreds of years.
Right.
Like, to think that you're just gonna come in and get one power up and like just brush through them, no problem. It's like listen, we gotta let's talk about Bleach. You guys know how I feel about Bleach. Ichigo, a 17-year-old in no universe, be able to beat 1,000-year-old Aizen that has plans since before he was born. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
And he's still new on the job. He's still
right.
That typically happens in Shonen, honestly. In most of them you see, and it's mostly because it's really just. I think what it is that these 1,000-year-old people that have been hunting demon slayers get not complacent in a sense, but they overestimate. It's a whole thing of like overestimate or underestimation of the competition, and then that underdog rises up. That's the whole, I think, idea of a shonen is the underdog rising. So they always underestimate the underdog.
It is hubris. You're right, but I think that this show in manga does it pretty well for 2 main reasons. One is that it did show he had a 2-year trial period. He was basically E class. He was at the very bottom and then he trained for 2 years. And all that did was he got him got his foot in the door. And even after that, he's still getting waxed by lots of his enemies. I mean, early on, his sister had to save his life. Otherwise, he'd have gotten killed in the first or second job. And then also Mugen Train, you see everything they go through. He's pretty much down for the count. And then when Goku comes in there and he has to finish off the guy who pretty much just defend off. I forgot the old boy number 3.
Ayaka. I want to say. I'll check into it.
We all know who it is. Got the vest that he's kind of
he's a monster. He's a monster.
He's a monster. But the thing is, there's no reality in which, no matter how you slice it, he would have destroyed. He was actually coming with his fist right at Tanjiro's face. He would have killed him. So even as he's getting more and more powered up, he's still not strong enough to handle these things. And then later on, in season 3, essentially, what happens with Tanjiro is he's using the 2 techniques, the water breathing and the fire breathing, which he's essentially been inadvertently honing the most. So it doesn't seem it doesn't seem like it's far-fetched or out of left field. He's been doing it. He's been building towards it. So he's using them. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. It tracks.
If you look at the numbers, how many of them versus how many demons they fought, it was 6-1-2?
Yeah.
Like they definitely got the Thanos treatment there. Like
right. And they're still barely they're not winning, they're losing. So
the big thing, that's the big elephant in the room, the animation. We could talk all day about this. This is one of the better animations I've ever seen when it comes from the colors.
One of the best. It's top 5 easily.
How could it not be?
I can't even put my finger on exactly what it is. It's not even one thing. It's just a combination of different techniques. Like it's just the cinematography and the shots, the music. I will say the music in this show is a huge part of what makes the animation great to me. Also, the music makes a sense of tension and it escalates the level of action that's going on in certain fights.
There's urgency, but also a sense of gravity. And the gravity also, the instruments that wind flutes and everything they're using, it seems period appropriate. So you feel like you're in an epic battle in Ghost of Tsushima or whatnot, kind of a thing.
Which is another reason why I love that time period, because the instruments that are predominant in those time periods are like the pan flutes, the wood flutes. I don't know the name of that instrument. It's like a Japanese guitar almost. I bring it up all the time. And I say I'm gonna look it up, but I never look it up. I'll do it.
We can't find it. We tried to find it one night.
Those instruments always, for me, those combined with whether you want to put in like 808s or snares or whatever other instrument type thing you put in, those key components always make that time period animation or movies or whatever feel great and sound great to me.
Agreed.
And all those parts together just make this an amazing experience when you're watching the fights.
I don't know that it could have made an animation series like this as well as it is 10 years ago or so, because it actually does incorporate CGI elements, but it does it really well. It does it seamlessly, as opposed to fucking Berserk 2018, which I still have nightmares about. It incorporates the CGI and other graphics into the seamlessly into the 2D animation, so that it only enhances it as opposed to getting in the way, making it worse.
What I really need now is a lot more sword on sword action in the show. The demon fights are cool. I either need a demon with a katana, or I need more people. Like katana, sword on sword violence is just to me. I love
sword violence.
You got sword on sickle violence this season.
That was cool.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Cool.
That's what
bladed scarves or whatever you want to call her power was. Like that was that.
Oh
yeah. Some of those scenes where she was throwing those scarves at Tanjiro and he was just blocking those off. Like that was fire.
So the most terrifying thing in the world is a demon wielding swords. Like, why is God hate me that much to have a creature to arm a creature? I mean, pretty much they're strong enough without them.
Right.
One person who's slowly become my favorite character out of that trio, like not Inosuke. What was the lightning guy? Zenitsu.
Oh, yes.
Lightning, my boy. The Nisu fights are always sick to me because I love when a demeanor changes about a character. I was some Super Saiyan 4 Goku shit, like when his whole demeanor changes and he's I'm here to murder you. I'm going to murder you. and then his speed, the light again, lightning with swords for me too. I don't know. These are just little aspects I find myself to enjoy when I'm watching.
You're a Sasuke fan, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not, in fact, a Sasuke fan.
Lightning and swords.
No.
Here's a problem: is the stereotype because we all know black folks in superhero books are always made like everything from Static Shock to Black Lightning to Storm. We're always the characters that have lightning powers.
We electrify everything, baby.
We
That's
electrify
what we
everything. But it is dope though. The Zenitsu is awesome about him. He's kind of a weird, like kind of annoying hypochondriac when he's normal, but when he's in his sleep mode, his Hulk form or his the hide to his Jekyll is actually better. It's actually like a more cool like customer.
By the time this series is completely over, Zenitsu is definitely my second favorite character.
That's what
he's damn near Zatoichi at this point because he's closing his eyes every time. These eyes are closed every fight.
He's literally asleep. He's not even. He's literally asleep.
I'm like, you communicating when you're asleep, my boy? How the hell does this work?
He communicates better when he sleeps, somehow.
And not when his eyes are closed and he's asleep. I don't get it, but I like it. You want to go and give this show a rating out of 10 this season at least? Out of 10?
We can give it overall. I mean, it doesn't have to be just because I feel like it's
not a finished product technically yet.
No,
so I don't want to give it the show itself a rating.
Okay.
We can go with progress.
A few moments later.
Manga's a finished
Otis knows, but that's
6.5 hours later.
But you said that this, compared to Promised Neverland season 2, this is not nearly as good. It does a better adaptation. You rather watch that.
1 eternity later.
Rating. We'll start from left to right. Mr. Lelouch, what you got?
If I'm gonna go ahead and say the whole manga, what my rating is on that, and I'm gonna give that a 9.
That seems fair. Seems very fair.
Okay, we're reviewing the anime. He gonna give a manga review. That's crazy.
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna give it a 9 too. I think this is almost as perfect as it can get. I really enjoyed the season. We talked about the break in between shows and trying to refresh yourself. I didn't need that much for this. I didn't rewatch anything on this, and I remembered stuff pretty well. And even
they reference it.
Right. So they do pretty well with that. So yeah, solid 9.
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 9 as well. I know that it seemed like there was a break between, because what happened was they did the season 1, then they did Mugen Train, took a little break in the Mugen Train, but it seemed like there's a while between essentially season 1 originally and then season 3 essentially. So it's kind of there was some time, but I didn't mind. It was worth it, and it's all on the screen. The quality is all there. I'd always prefer quality to quantity, and there's no lack of that. And it's and again giving female mangakin writers and creators the shout outs. I mean, obviously Fullmetal Alchemist and Inuyasha. So these are, I love seeing that Demon Slayer is part of the mix as far as some of the greatest out there of all time.
Well, guys, this has been another episode of the Then and Now podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time, and see you later. Greatest podcast in the world. Poodini.
Attack on Titan. You wish you were a 9.
Damn.